Let's talk about everything you've always wanted to talk about and no one ever talks about it. I don't know why. And the questions that you've always had that no one had answers to. So you're probably wondering, what is it I'm going to be talking about? And I'm going to be talking about the root of never feeling enough. What is the root cause that leads us to never feeling enough? No matter what we do in this world, no matter how many posts we make, no matter how many friends we have, no matter how we dress up, no matter how we feel, why is it that we never feel enough? No matter if we have the best cars in our garages, no matter if we have the most popular friends at school or the best job in the world, why is it that we still never feel enough? So what if I told you this story of never feeling enough isn't yours, and it's not yours to continue on telling, but you've been telling it because that is the most familiar story you know? And I was there too. So trust me, you don't want to have that book. You don't want to be writing in that book anymore. You don't want chapters in there. Because I'm going to be telling you exactly what are the biggest mistakes we make and how we can start today from simple things that can change our lives significantly. So, if you know when you're growing up, you have 4 needs that need to be met. We have the need of feeling safe, loved, connected, and significant. So those are just 4 needs. And how many of you today, if I asked, would tell me you still don't have those needs met? I can tell you, I realized that I didn't have those needs met. And I can tell you, most of us today don't have these needs met because that is a consequence of drinking, smoking, addiction, social media. There are so many things we do in order to fill that hole, that gap in us, and that is such a sad truth, but we need to admit it. Not the things you do in moderation, not the things you do when you're happy, the things you do knowing you're doing harm to yourself, but you still do them. Yeah. Very harsh. But that is what we do here. We're truthful, we're authentic, and we are real, because that is the only way you can start your transformation. Many people talk about healing, self-help, right? In self-help books. Let's heal, let's get better. I don't like to use the term heal because that is already incentivizing or saying that you are broken and there is something that you need to fix about yourself. But we are whole. We have always been whole. We just have a life and we have different traumas and we have different layers over time that really I want to imagine start to, like ground and soil. We have, some different plants and weeds growing, and the garden starts to become a not very nice place to be in. So I think we need to acknowledge that. So as you're growing up, you have those 4 needs. But if you look at a baby is the most purest form of human. It is the lightest form. It's like an angel. You really can see that they feel enough no matter what, no matter if they throw up, no matter if they make a mess, no matter if they wake up the parent in the middle of the night. They will never question, can I wake up my parents? What if they're mad at me? Maybe I'm not worth for them to waste their time on. First of all, they don't have the cognitive ability, yes, but they know their worth no matter what they do. So what happens to us? When is it we give up? We lose that worth? Why? Why is it that we begin to do that? Of course, there is societal pressure and changes and things like that. But maybe we still all have that worth hidden inside. And obviously, we have our inner child. They're always there. So why is it that we feel this way? And I'm here to debunk that, explain everything. So let's get into it. So if we have those 4 needs, I want you to be very truthful right now. Do you really believe you have all of these needs met in this moment in time in your life? And I can tell you, most people will say no. And if you're really truthful, you will also probably say no. Change starts with awareness, so you gotta start somewhere, right? And as we grow up, like in any game, we have more levels unlocked. We have more needs. So if these 4 foundational needs are not met, we have more needs. And those are the building blocks. So if those are not met, we're already off to a rough start. What are the other needs? We have the need to feel heard and seen. We also have another need, a need which is to feel like you matter, you're worth it, the need to be celebrated, and another one to be praised, which is connected to it. Those are other needs that come along. But if those 4 needs are not met, we already have a problem, like I said. So what happens when those needs are not met? Those needs are not a big deal. They're, you could say, quite simple needs that we probably are aware of. But no one has ever told us, like, oh, these are, take notes. These are the specific needs. Like 1 out of 10, how much are these needs met in your life? We don't have that lesson in school. No one teaches us. So if they're not a big deal, but they're a very big deal when they're not met, what is it that happens as a consequence? So number 1, you give up those needs. You say, bye, I don't need them. I will never feel loved. I will never feel connected. I won't have anyone who understands me. I'm just gonna give them up because I don't deserve them. That is one scenario. A second scenario is you give up your needs to someone. Someone out there is gonna fulfill them. Someone out there will make me happy and make me feel like I'm worth it. Those are already 2 problematic scenarios that happen so often. So you found someone, probably a significant other, and you basically told them, you're going to meet all of my needs. At the beginning, in the early stages, the person probably doesn't understand, and you probably don't even know you're doing that because it is subconscious. And everything is fine, but later on, that person might see you as someone too needy, and they'll probably be, bored, and they're going to be like, I'm going to find someone better out there because you are not someone I want to spend the rest of my life with. So when you become needy, it's unattractive. And we become needy very fast when we start to find other people to fill gaps in ourselves that we don't even realize we're doing that, right? So how can we avoid these scenarios? What is it that we can do instead? What is the other option? And the third option that we don't even know is available to us is, so if you can't or don't want to give up your needs or give them away, the third option is very simple, is to meet your own needs. Yes, you heard me, is to meet your own needs by yourself, for yourself, because you can do that. But we have never had someone teach us that, because when we're small, we depend on our parents, so they're meeting our needs, but if they're not met, then later we try to find someone else or give them up. And usually what's familiar to us is probably toxic ways. And if they're not met through someone else, then they're probably met through other ways of, we have smoking, drinking, addictions, social media. We have so many other ways, but you're basically, metaphorically, trying to pour water in a bucket that has a hole in it, thinking it should fill sometime, but it never gets filled. And it's just that cycle of instant gratification. And you're probably never going to be happy, because how can you be when you're constantly trying to fill a gap with ways that are not self-sufficient and really effective? You're just going to find yourself questioning and affirming to yourself that you are not enough, that you don't deserve it, and keep telling yourself these bad things. So really, you are doing that to yourself in a way. But what we don't know is, and I wish someone told me this sooner, thoughts come first. What do I mean by this? We first have a thought, then we have a feeling, then we have a behavior, and then we have an action. So we have this chain that connects everything, right? Let's say you feel not enough. Your feeling is, I feel helpless, I feel worthless, I feel, you can feel sad, you can feel angry. Your behavior might be, lashing out, feeling and doing things that try to satisfy those needs, like I mentioned before. Or there might be no action. You could become also depressed and things like that. Or there's just nothing. You don't want to do anything because you have no motivation, no need. And then the event is you don't feel enough. So that is again a cycle, and it repeats, and we constantly do that because we tell ourselves that. So if the thought comes first, then why is it when we try to help ourselves, we try to deal with the feeling, we tell ourselves, I don't want to feel this sadness and depression and anxiety within myself, but I'm gonna tell myself to stop feeling it. Okay, I'm telling myself, stop feeling, but it's not going away. I don't understand why. Because you're tackling the wrong thing in the process. It's a chain. You don't tackle the middle of the chain, you tackle the first thing, so the thought. So we need to think better thoughts. Okay. So if you need to think better thoughts, instead of tackling the behavior, right? Another example, you want to eat healthy, you don't just tell yourself, I'm not going to touch that food, I'm not going to touch that cookie, I don't want that cookie, don't look at me, I know that I am not hungry now. 2 minutes later, I want it even more because I'm pushing it away. Resistance creates more want. So there again, you have an issue because you're tackling the behavior and not the thought. The thought of you came, I want to have the junk food, the whatever. But you're tackling the behavior instead of the thought. You see what I mean? So we need to begin tackling the thought. So how do we tackle the thought? We think better thoughts. If you think better thoughts, you start believing, I feel enough, I feel worth it. Then you create feelings around it, more positive, better. And your behavior, therefore, you feel more confident, you feel like you can do things, you feel like you are enough, right? Your behavior, anything you do, comes with all of those feelings, and the action and the event will be more positive because you are controlling that with your thought. So it is really a chain effect. The same thing happens is when you fear things, when you see a dog and you fear it and you have this anxiety and this, you can't breathe and it's like hot and sweaty palms, and you think it's just the feeling that you got. But first you have to think of the thought, I'm scared of the dog, or same thing, I'm scared of flying, or whatever it is, because you don't just get the feeling. We're taught otherwise, saying first we get the feeling and then the thought. So in science, in psychology, the only feeling that comes first is the feeling of falling backwards. For some reason, biologically, we're first get that feeling. For anything else, first we get the thought. Okay, so you're telling me now I need to think better thoughts. Okay, so I'm gonna think I'm worth it. But what if I don't believe it myself? So you're telling me to think affirmations, but I don't believe it. So how can that be productive? I'm worth it. Okay, but who cares? Who cares if you believe it or not? Listen, this is how your mind works. Your mind works, it lets in any thought, whether it's good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. It accepts anything and everything. So if it does that, it doesn't know if it's good or bad. It doesn't know if it's real or not, right? That is why manifestation is such a concept, because you cannot differentiate if it's real or not, because your imagination makes it real. So if you can think better thoughts, okay, you think I am worth it, I believe myself, you start to feel better, you start to think better. So what happens is, if you expect that you can feel worth it by telling yourself I'm not worth it, it's like a broken machine. You will never feel worth it. You won't wake up one day saying, oh, I feel worth it now, because for 10 years I've been telling myself I'm not worth it, I don't deserve it, why is it happening to me, I can't do it. You see what I'm saying? You were playing a game, like probably you can say a lottery, where the percentage that it will happen is basically zero. So it's up to you now, right? Awareness is the first step. Okay, so now you need to think better thoughts. That is the first step. What else is important? Firstly, my great mentor, Marissa Peers, you need to check her out. She's amazing. And my teacher, she says, the problem is we look for ourselves everywhere but here, and that is guaranteed for failure. We try to feel enough externally by filling that void and gap, but those things will never fill us. So the second thing I want you to know is, it is our job to become the CEO of our own thoughts. Your friends, your environment, right? You can say the 5 people around you is the average of you. But yes, they can contribute, because they will tell you things and you will take them in and you start thinking like them and saying the things they say. But it's still up to you. Your friend can't tell you how to think or how to feel. It's up to you to tell yourself these things. So you need to take really all that you can and focus on doing the best job. That is your only job, and you need to be the best at it, because no one else in this world can do this job as you can do it, because you know yourself in a way no one else knows, and you will have this relationship. The only relationship you have forever is with yourself. Other people come and go, but you have a relationship with yourself like no one can. So start there. And another thing is, if other people give you compliments, right? If you're going to a job interview, or you're stepping in front of others, or you're trying to get that validation from the significant other, they have agendas. They will want something back. But you can tell yourself compliments. You can do things, and you know it's for your purest self, because you have unconditional love with yourself, like no one else has. So start doing it, because there's nothing else or no one else who can do this job better than you. So that is another point to make. You start thinking better thoughts and you become the CEO of your thoughts. Then, after you do all of those things, she also says you don't work for your mind. Your mind should work for you. And a lot of times we have those things opposite. We let our mind dictate what we do. And that's when it becomes a problem. And therefore, you need to become the CEO of your thoughts. So why is it that we don't meet our own needs sooner? Why is it that we fail to do it? Because we don't learn how to dialogue with ourselves. We don't learn to have that relationship with ourselves, and having better thoughts is developing a better relationship with ourselves. So when you begin to do that, learning how to dialogue with yourself softer, nicer, right? We are the biggest critics of ourselves. You can notice that. We put so much pressure and expectation. It's okay to chill. You need to be your own best friend. And if you start doing it, your life will change dramatically, instantly. You will thank me later. You'll thank yourself. I want you to thank yourself. Because it's going to change your life, not mine. Another thing is, when you leave this video, you're going to be like, I'm going to try to think better thoughts. I promise you're going to say that. I'm going to try. I'm going to hope. I wish. Trying is not enough. She says trying is basically you saying, I don't believe I can do it. It's like, half in, half out. I'm going to try to do it, I probably won't make it, but I will try. Basically, you're telling yourself you're not going to do it if you're realistic with yourself. So I want you to say, I believe in myself. I am starting today. I know that I will do it, and I can do it because everything else I've done in life, I put myself 100% in. I got it. That is the problem. When you don't put yourself 100% and you hold that, you're like, 99% in, but that 1%, you don't believe you can do it, and then you don't do it, and then you tell yourself, oh, I was right, because you were scared to disappoint yourself. You shouldn't be. You can do it. Start believing I can do it. I am the CEO of my life, my thoughts, and my reality, and it will begin to happen for you. Trust me. So, what are the 3 things you need to know to get whatever you want in your life? 3 things, just 3. Number 1 is you need to know what you want. Clear, set in stone, believe it. You need to know what you are going to believe in. So, it's manifestation. That's why this topic is so common now. Everyone talks about it. Clear. You need to know what you're receiving. You order things on Amazon. You trust it's going to come. The second step is believing you're worth it. You're worth of receiving it. That energy frequency, every thought you have, attracts something else. So if you don't believe it, that today, that thing you want will show up, and if you're not ready to receive it, you're not going to receive it. You won't. Trust me. Trust me, you cannot receive it. It's impossible because you don't match that energy. It's not going to come to you. So if you're going into that, real life, and going with that thought, you need it, I need it, I'm attached to it, that comes from neediness. And that is why you're not going to get it. Because the more you want, the more you resist, the more you push it away. So, you need to believe it. You need to know you're worth it. You need to detach from it. Detachment is knowing that you're worth it and it's going to come either way, no matter how you think it's going to come. And then thirdly, it's to go get after it. To go get after it. Put actions towards it. But know that it's going to come either way. And it might come in different ways than you believe it. And that is okay. So, today, we really went from why I never feel enough. Why are things happening to me? But now we've shifted. how is this helping? This is happening for me, for my greater good. And what if I tell you things are going to work out even better than you've ever imagined? What if tomorrow is greater than you think? Start thinking like that, and you realize how things quickly change. Thank you.